Here is our man, and here's our red sheet of paper. I want the paper the tall way. You don't want to draw on it this way. We don't want a wide picture, we want a tall picture. So put your paper portrait style and take your little man and start dropping his pieces on your board as you think about what your man is going to do or be. So when you got all your pieces, start arranging your man. Does he want to be a ballet dancer? A hockey player? Is he a gymnast? Does he enjoy reading? Or maybe he holds the book like this. Or maybe he likes to sit cross-legged when he reads. Or is he an artist? Now here's a runner. He's different than the others because he's showing from the profile, which means sideways. To do that, I cut the upper part of the body and the trunk in half. The other pieces were like this and this. So to show them my man running in profile, I just cut along my blue line here and used this part, just a half of each part. If you're going to depict your character in profile, be sure that you cut the torso and the hip section in half. Now he's moved way over there because I created a little easel and he needs some space so that he can paint on his easel. Now once you decide what you want to do, play with it. My figure has the contrapposto that I want, but he's not quite right, he's not quite balanced. This leg would not be bent, it would be stiff if he has contrapposto, and this leg may be a little bit closer to look more real. Pose yourself if you can and look in a mirror, see what you look like in that position, or have a friend pose. Now this arm sticking out, that might be a little bit hard to do, and artists tend to hold this arm back until they want their paint. This is the paint palette, so they would come forward to get the paint afterwards. So play with it, see what looks right. Would his arm be like this? Would that shoulder be that much different? Those hips that much different, or a little bit less? So you want to play with your figure until you get it just right, and then you'll go on to the next step. That figure to me looks a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more like an artist would stand. Maybe even pull this arm closer in. Maybe it would look more relaxed this way in the brush, and his hand that way. So yeah, I like that better than the other. I'm still not happy with this leg, so I'm going to keep playing with it till I get it right. And once I get it right, I'm going to take my pencil and I'm going to go all the way around the edge, and I'm going to have to hold each piece while I do that because they're going to want to move, and I'm going to draw the outline of this figure. And I'm going to end up having to move the whole thing over because I'm so close to this edge. So not only do you pose it right, but make sure it's in the right place on the sheet of paper. The next step is to trace the figure. Now it's going to move, but if you're very careful, you can trace around the figure. You'll have to move your board and follow your figure. As you can see, the running character has no crossovers. This arm is freestanding, as is this arm. This leg comes out and this leg comes out, but they don't cross over the body. But if you look over at the character that I'm doing, the arm here is over in front of the body. Now the question is, how do we cut something like that out? Well, how you would cut it out, you would cut along here, but you would also allow a space like this, and you would cut along here so that this piece becomes its own entity. And this piece is separated from the other piece. It would also be separated here. Take this little part and this little part out. And so we end up with the arm connected to the upper piece, but the upper piece being a part that's separate from the lower piece. And this becomes its own piece that's all connected to here, and this part is connected to here, so this is all connected together. But these two pieces are separate from each other and separate from the background. So I've drawn my figure, but you probably can't see it because on a camera it's hard to see a pencil line drawn on a red sheet of paper. So in order for you to be able to see it, I did the same thing on here. I traced my man. Now let's move this and let's look at what the man looks like. Okay, there he is. But he doesn't look like a she, and I'm a she. If you look like this, then you're all set to go. But if you don't look like this, you need to turn it into what you look like. And that's what I look like. So, just to compare, to go from here to here, I made the shoulders smaller so it looks like a woman. I made the hips wider so it looks like a woman, and the thighs thicker so it looks like a woman. And I gave the calves a little bit of curve so it looks like a female, and then I made the shoes in a shoe style. And I went back and I drew the fingers. Now I actually had one of my children pose for me so I'd know how to draw the hands. You could have a classmate do that. Now this hand is over the top, and how we're going to do any part of the body that's over the top I'll show you later on in the program. Finally, I drew my profile so that it looks a little bit like me. So turn this head into a profile to finish up your drawing. Unless the action that you're showing is looking straight at you, then you can have a head like this. But I think most of your pictures will probably be in profile. Okay, let's say that you are doing this runner. Where is the runner running? Is he running down the street? Is he running through an apartment building? Is he running along the beach? Now you have to draw some lines that show your person, yourself, in context. So if I'm doing my artist person, am I drawing outside in the open air? What am I drawing outside? Do I put pine trees around me? Do I put a lake on the other side of me? Or am I inside at a studio? Is there a window? Is there something I'm drawing? I should put that in the picture. So take your pencil and draw around the person that you've drawn that's supposed to be you, doing your athletic event, and put what should be there. If you're a lacrosse, is there another person playing? Is there a ball? What's the racket look like? If you're a gymnastics person, what are you on? Are you on one of those horses, or are you on one of those little swing things? Put that in your picture. As for the artist, what context is my artist in? Is she outside painting in fresh air? Should she have trees around her? Or is she inside of a studio? Well, I'm going to put her inside of a studio, so I'm going to run just some lines here to show a floor, and that would show a studio. But when I go to cut her out, I want to show a definition of that floor. So I'm going to actually need two lines. And one will represent the ceiling, and this will represent the floor, and then I'll actually need this striped area to represent the difference between the floor and the ceiling, and I can, just as the same way that I'm using this space to create a definition between the arm and the body behind it. Now I can also put something on the floor and make some sort of wood paneling, and if I decide to do something like that, which I'm not sure that I'm going to do because it might become too complicated, then I want to show it in her, show some perspective. but I'm also going to have to double each of these lines to create a single line so that there's something that separates one from another. So keep that in mind when you go to do your cutting out.